Ahead and call the meeting to order. This is a regular monthly meeting of the Morton County Park Board for April 2025. First thing we will take a look at is the agenda. Does anybody have any changes to be made to the agenda for today's meeting?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the agenda for today's meeting. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next thing is the approval of the minutes of the previous meetings, which would be actually going back to January's meeting. Does anybody have any corrections that need to be made to the minutes from January's meeting?
Move to approve the minutes from the January meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the January meeting. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, monthly bills and payroll. Commissioner Geiger.
I reviewed the bills and make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the monthly bills and payroll. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, first item on our regular agenda is the Eckroth Bottoms license. Tim.
Okay, I sent out in your packet copies of the letter I got from the Corps, and then also a follow-up email after I talked to the Corps. I really don't understand why we should be paying money to do a service to the people that we have absolutely no revenue from whatsoever. And if we don't do it, it probably will not have the services that are there now. And that they're talking about the survey and the GPS and GIS and all that stuff. Nothing that they did is going to change what we do. You know, we already got the parking lot, we already got the road going in. I'm not in favor of what they're asking. And after I did call the number and talk to the guy, they dropped $550 virtually within 5 minutes. So however you guys want to handle it, well, I'm good with it.
So Tim, I personally think we should just see what happens. I mean, what's going to stop them from going down to Fort Rice where they fish? Yeah.
Okay, I've talked with the Game and Fish, and the areas that they deal with the Corps, none of this. We are the only ones that the Game and Fish is aware of that they're doing this to. And think about it, they're not doing it to us at Fort Rice, they're not doing it at Grainer Park. No place are they doing it except to us.
Tim, what is the GIS work that they did, the mapping that Shannon is referring to? Do you have any idea?
I have no clue.
So it's not anything that we use or benefit from at all requested?
No. When, Jesse, if you'd go there, it's, I would like to describe it as a very nice maintained 2-track trail coming in off Highway 1806, coming into a parking lot. They give the dimensions here, but we got big rocks for border around our parking lot, and we got one garbage can. And our guys go down there, they haul garbage weekly. As needed, we spray the weeds in the parking lot, and we trim around the rocks that we use for the border. So why they need to map anything out, I don't know. I mean, we're not moving rocks.
Right, so I was just trying to clarify. I mean, this is something that the Corps or the government wanted, needed,
For
went
their own
and
use.
did it for their own use,
Yeah.
and now are sending a bill to us to
Yeah.
help fund it. But if it's not anything, I mean, I would feel differently if it was something we utilized maybe
Or
Right.
or requested.
I had
benefited
no
from.
clue to that they were doing this.
Sure.
Tim, have they stated consequences for not paying it? Are they saying they would close the road?
No, they, what they said was they'd probably close the parking lot. They close the parking lot, then they'll have a lot of phone calls. Yesterday, when we were out turning on the water, I'm sure there was a dozen to 15 pickups sitting there. And I've seen a lot more than that.
That was on our Saturday, there'd be about 25, 30 people fishing, shore fishing.
Yeah. And when we were dealing with the Corps, not the Corps, the Game and Fish, about taking that service over, I actually approached the Corps about, you know, if we're gonna do it, I'd like to get a vault toilet put in. Well, at that time, I was told they got it mapped where all the Indian artifacts are, and to do this, we're gonna have to put our vault toilet above ground. And that put an end to that idea. But they've had the maps in place for years. Maybe now just having them digitalized or more accurate, I don't know. But no matter what, we're not gonna go down and move rocks.
But even still, if they're doing that, it's primarily for their own benefits. So there should not be a surcharge to the user.
Correct.
And especially as you mentioned, it's a user, if we're commercializing off of it, it's a completely different story, but we're not commercializing at all. It's a public service.
Yep, 100%.
It's actually costing us money.
True.
That's
True.
why I just can't wrap my head around the fact that for years we've been doing the service for them and not requesting any reimbursement from them for our labor and materials. And now they want to charge us to continue doing that same thing. I mean, truthfully, if it was me, I would say our offer to them is, as it always has been. We'll keep doing it for you for free to keep it open to the public, but why should we have to pay to do them a favor?
Well, actually, Mr. Chair, that's probably not a bad thought and be a little effort, but present a cost breakdown of what we fork out and invoice them. Not that we really have to invoice them, but showing them,
Yeah.
here's the cost that we incur to ensure that your facility is open for use to the public.
Yeah, if you can throw that dollar amount from 2024 at them and say, so for last season, as an example, for us to operate this, this was our out-of-pocket costs. So,
And we've been doing it for how many years?
right,
Years.
And I would even consider, suggest that, you know, sending it to the respective party here, but forwarding it on to the Omaha office and also including our senators.
Okay. Could I get that in a motion so it's recorded so I can put it down word for word?
I so move
Okay.
that we authorize Tim to assess costs to Morton County Parks for use of this facility, Eckroth Bottoms, and present that to the Corps of Engineers, to Rick Noel, Real Estate Contracting Officer, but also forwarding it to his supervisor at the Omaha office, and also including our senators.
Okay.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to what our response should be to the Army Corps in regards to Eckroth Bottoms. Is there any further discussion?
Could we have an addition to that? That if they would close this facility, all phone calls that I get are gonna be directed to whomever?
Yes. If that's what,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a given, because
Yeah.
if they close it, we don't operate it.
We don't do anything.
Okay.
any further discussion?
I do have one little concern. As far as if we don't pay this and causing any damage with our relationship with the Corps for future, you know, if we need the Corps for permission for something else, you know, is this gonna make it harder to get things done?
Tim, I'll jump in on that. I don't think it's gonna be as much of a concern, mainly because this is being addressed by the real estate
Okay.
department versus permitting is a completely different
Yep,
department.
that'd fall under regulatory.
Yeah.
No, with Kevin, with what you said, I spent a lot of time thinking about, okay, so now we're not gonna do this. And they'll say, okay, you guys ain't running Grainer and Fort Rice, and we, as a county park system, we got substantial amount of funds and energy into those parks. Now, since I sent all this out, they're closing stuff down. Well, I think their arguments would fall on deaf ears.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'd also keep in the back of the mind is depending what sort of rebuttal that we may get from the Corps on this action and if that may have them coming out and locking the gates per se, that we have a prepared statement pushing it through the public dissemination that just announces that due to the contractual obligations with the Corps of Engineers, Morton County Parks is not able to utilize or have this space available for our public, and then that just takes it to a different arena.
Yep.
So I maybe have one question for clarity though. Are we, maybe this was in the motion, are we refusing to pay on the grounds of such and such, or is this sort of a negotiation? Like, do we need more information in addition to, hey, look, we invest this much money, we feel we're contributing our part, we're playing ball with the Corps, and see what comes back from it? I think that would be my preference, and then if we want to take a hard stance in a month and say we refuse to pay, and I don't see a deadline
No.
on this.
We didn't put in there to not pay.
Yeah, right.
It is a negotiation as far as my understanding when I listened to what Commissioner Morrell said.
Right.
Yeah, just presenting, here's the,
Here it is.
the
you
investment
guys.
that we put
This is what we
forward.
do, what are you doing? How are we gonna work this out?
Yeah,
What
agree.
would the board think if I called these guys and said, hey, really, we're doing a service to you guys, and, we'll continue doing this for no fee? And if they say no, well, then make the letter.
That doesn't really present them with the
Numbers.
costs that Morton County has accrued over the years of doing it for them.
Okay?
It does bridge that relationship, but this is, I think, an echelon above that.
Okay? I have no problem, none whatsoever.
Maybe 2 echelons above that. So there's a motion in a second.
Yep. So any further discussion on the motion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay,
Okay,
park bench at Missouri River Natural Area.
Okay, this is just a formality. Now, we have the contract for the maintenance and operations of the natural area. And before we'd put up a bench or something in there, I would have to get permission from the NDDOT. So I just want to have your guys' blessing to put up a park bench in memory of, I forget the name, and it'll be just like all the other benches we put up. The people have sent me a picture of where they'd like it, and it's a perfect spot, so I'd highly recommend approving it.
One quick question, just for its location, is it going like riverbank side?
Okay, if you would be in the parking lot and you're going right directly to the mouth,
Yep. It's right in the center, right? Not the I-94 side, but right
Right.
through the center?
nope, right to the river.
Oh,
to
right to the
mouth.
river, okay.
There's that little plaque sign type thing,
Yep,
right to, let's call it the straight south of that.
okay.
So that the plaque will be here, the trail's here, the 6-foot wide cut, and then the
Okay.
bench.
At the rate that it's losing bank down there, I just didn't want to see it put in a place where it's gonna be down in a wahi eventually.
Yeah, oh no, that ain't gonna happen.
Okay, did you want a motion for that or consensus?
Either one, I guess I'd like a motion on that. Just a plain and simple one. It doesn't have to be nothing extravagant.
I'll make a motion to approve putting that park bench in the Missouri River Natural Area.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the memorial bench at the Missouri River Natural Area. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next up, paddle-on contract.
Okay, paddle-on is a service out at Harmon Lake. These people rent kayaks, paddle boards, and with that comes paddleboard yoga, a variety of different things. In my opinion, it's a really nice service. They are looking at selling out, and I guess what I'm gonna ask of you guys, do we wanna just if they sell to another guy, do we just wanna let that guy have the contract? Do you wanna put out requests for proposals and see if we can get somebody else in? Or how would you like to do that?
Are they selling out before the season starts?
They're trying to sell.
So how I would see it is if we negotiate a contract with them today and they were to sell, as long as the business remains the same name, it's still the business.
The only thing, so we had Tom Bear look at the contract, and the way the contract is written, since they currently run Paddle-On as a sole proprietorship,
Oh.
and the defoes are named in the contract,
Yep.
Yeah.
we would have to negotiate we could negotiate the same contract, but we would
Right.
have to go with a new contract with the new owner.
Because it's sole proprietorship.
The better thing to do is like what you mentioned, is just put it with the business and then it would transfer, but just for a little board background, when the water board, when we were initially approached by people wanting to have an exclusive rental service from the lake, which is why this contract's in place. So Paddle-On currently is the only concessionaire of kayak rentals that can operate from the beach. We did go out for RFPs for that, and there was, I think, 3 places that expressed interest. Paddle-On was the only one actually to submit a proposal along with the insurance required. So there's not a whole lot of call for vendors of this type out there. The other thing that has kind of come to light, one of the other companies that was interested in it previously is also up for sale. So, like I say, if we went out for RFP, there's a good chance we would get nobody. Because there's just not a whole lot of these vendors around. And now 2 of them are for sale.
And the thing with this is, so you go down and rent your kayak and you're out using your kayak, and I really like this. You know, this is fun. I want one. I think the beginning level of a kayak is not that expensive. I think their business is going slowly decreasing. Yep.
Yeah, it's been great for people wanting to know if they like it.
Yeah. And in my opinion, it's a pretty good service that we allow to happen down there.
Thus the yoga and everything else.
In my opinion, they need a motor on it. I just get the load and unload and get to the lake.
So the question really is do we do an RFP, or do we just offer to negotiate the contract with whoever the buyer would potentially be for Paddle-On?
I would lean on a renegotiation if they're willing. You know, if they're not willing, then look at the other option.
You might have Paddle-On Defoe's in there until end of June. And we're mid-season before it would sell. And so at that point, I would just renegotiate too. I wouldn't try and do something brand new until the new season comes around. 'Cause we just don't know when they're gonna sell.
Good. That would also give time to research for next year. Just mental thought.
So when you're talking renegotiating, you basically want to stay with this agreement, but just different names. I like that. I was kind of nervous that maybe this board would decide we want a 10% cut or whatever. And I think at the beginning, that would probably chase people out. Maybe after they're established and see what kind of revenue they have, maybe at that point you would want to consider that, but I think not now.
And Cody's just hoping it all finishes up before the 1st of August, right?
Yeah, I kind of look at Paddle-On as a service to the community, and we don't need to make any money off of them because those poor guys put a lot of hours in out there.
Yep.
And,
It's a definite attractor to that specific
You bet.
facility, that's for sure.
you know, you get a nice weekend and it's just a color out there on that lake with the boards and the kayaks.
And it's also another set of eyes that's out there all the time that has helped us in the past with
Garbage,
Shenanigans.
vandalism.
Yeah.
So again, would you want that in a motion or just
However
consensus?
you guys want to do it, consensus?
Mr. Chair, if you're fine, I think consensus would be fine.
Yeah, it isn't sold yet.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, because we, as of right now, we don't know
No.
what we're doing,
We-
but, so, Tim, I think the consensus of the board would be that, we're open to, redoing the contract with whoever their buyer may be,
If they have.
if it's, and this contract, ever since we've had it, has always renewed every year, so. you know,
Without incident.
We're not locked into anything long-term.
I think that's a good decision.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Tim on Paddle-On, comments, concerns? Okay, if not, last item, park updates.
Okay, we do have the water and the electricity turned on in all our parks. We had a little water issue down at Grainer. I'll let Cody speak on that. But the fish cleaning stations, everything's up. Cody, you can let them know what happened at Grainer.
We thought we had a water leak at the camp host spigot there, so we dug that up this morning, and the leak wasn't at that spigot, so we went over to the next one, and we could hear that water wasn't coming out the top, but it was pumping water into the ground, so pulled that stem out, and it actually ended up being an O-ring at the bottom of that hydrant. So that was the easy fix, but now we know what's underneath that first bent. The reason being, digging up the first one has been hit and bent significantly, so we thought that one was probably leaking at the T in the bottom or somewhere in the stem. So got it fixed, and nothing's leaking anymore. So that's all there was to that.
So now he understands how the hydrants work.
Was that the, excuse me, was that the same way I had trouble with last summer? The dual ring?
Over in that newest section, the
Yep.
square, yep,
That's the same one.
we had to replace an O-ring in that last year.
Same faucet?
Yep.
just a tiny crack in it.
Mm-hmm.
I was just questioning that. How deep are those faucets? 6 foot, 8 foot,
Probably 5.
5
I
foot?
think when we
Yeah.
hold the stem out, yeah,
They
about
were-
5 or 6 feet.
If they were 8 foot, they probably wouldn't even need to be winterized,
Right.
but at the level they are, they probably always do.
Well, it's good insurance anyway.
When the water system was put in down there, Do More Construction had the contract, and they went down till they hit groundwater. They wouldn't go no deeper, so
Yeah.
that's where that elevation come from.
Mhm.
And honestly, I'm gonna guess 37 years, we have not froze or broke a line underground yet. So we've been fortunate.
But again, if this is a repetitive O-ring, then obviously just keep the O-rings handy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Alex had he had a whole new plunger along, so we just took the whole end off and just replaced the whole end. So it has all new O-rings. It looks like there's actually 4 or 5 O-rings on there. So it seals up when the valve is down, to let water come out the top, and then they drain down, so that's the bottom O-ring. So if that one has failed, all that water is being pushed into the ground. And that's a draining system, so there's, so they don't freeze up.
Yeah, we have, I believe Alex said we have 2 hydrants on hand at all times.
Hmm.
Yeah, they
One's
got 2 of
a
them.
little longer than the other one, so. Yeah. But we're prepared for the worst.
Just kind of a heads up, last fall, I think there were 3 or maybe even 4 of the electrical posts on the campsites that we had to have Lillis Electric come down and change breakers,
Yep.
because it seemed like when they were plugged into the 50 amp, one leg was not functioning and it wouldn't run their air conditioning units and stuff like that. And I got a feeling, I don't know I just have a feeling there's gonna be more this summer.
Because they're all the same age.
Yep.
What was that? I forget that.
When you had to come down that Saturday and we
Yeah.
had to shut breakers off, we
Yeah.
thought it was the main breaker because it was one whole leg, and it was all individual breakers on each post.
Well, that was, there was absolutely nothing wrong. That was that, Randy, the one electrician, he was testing everything with his.
Yeah, I remember that, right?
With
Yeah.
his,
Tester button?
50 amp extension cord, and one of the lights wouldn't light up.
Yeah, we did have, though, in that string over there, we did have a few breakers that went out and we had to replace.
Yeah, but, and I agree, that's something that, we can bank on happening.
Yep.
And there too, Willis Electric, one call, even on that Friday, how
Yep,
long from
they were
the
very
time you
good.
called me to the time they were down there?
Yep.
An hour?
Yeah, they were very good.
Yeah, they're good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they treat us right. They treat us
That
right.
was what, 2012 we set that one up? Sound about right? So 13
later than that,
years right
13
now?
12 or 13. I could.
13.
Yeah.
13, because we sat on 12. Still waiting on all the sand. The silt was there at 12.
Yeah, it's.
That's where we're negotiating with the other partners out there.
Yep.
That's right. So 12 years.
So, yeah, we're aware of it, and we'll be watching for it.
Then, I guess the question I have is, I had or my camper would pop breakers a while back, and I didn't know if it was breakers or pop GFCIs actually just right now, and I had to dig into it, and it ended up being that I had a burned out electric side on my water heater. I'm sure some people would argue that, hey, this is your breaker,
Yeah.
not good. Do we bring in an electrician to tell them that this is your camper causing this and not our breaker?
Well, think Randy and Kevin would both agree, the vast majority of the time when we have issues, we find out it was an extension cord or in the camper itself. And
But we
sometimes
bring in an
it's-
electrician to prove that, so we're not arguing with the camper.
Yep, we don't even mess around.
Last summer, we had a camper down there, his name is Perry Strand, who owns Strand Electric, he's an electrician. And his tripped out, and he informed me after the fact that he just replaced the breaker himself, he had one in his vehicle. And I said, well, I'm glad you told me afterwards, because I would not have given you permission to do it beforehand.
Yep.
Could see somebody get hurt.
Mr. Chair, gotta step out.
Okay, and when we're on this topic, so far, Cody and I have been around our whole system. I take that back, we're just shy of being around our whole system, and he's learning the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts of each place. We haven't been on the backside of Fish Creek yet. We need to go down there and show them what has to happen down below the dam. We haven't been on the natural area trail yet, and Greenwood Cemetery. But after we get through them, he's been through all our parks. I honestly believe he has a good understanding of what we got, how it runs. And between him and Alex, they're not gonna have any problems with what I've seen so far.
We've been working very well together, Alex and I, Tim and I. I think getting along just fine.
Well, it's the only thing that we haven't got accomplished yet that is gonna be hard for me to accomplish is getting them out on the bike trail. So we're gonna hit Jamie up for that.
Alex and I did drive most of that yesterday,
Oh, okay.
just side by side.
Running one of your bikes or?
Alex was not willing to cross that bridge side by
So
side.
the floating bridge?
Yeah, so that's as far as we got.
Scaredy cat. Which side did you go out on, the west side or the east side?
The east side, we went up that.
Went up the hill?
Yeah, and he didn't put it in four-wheel drive, so we got to the top of the hill and I thought, oh, here we are. Now, what? But then it took off when he put it in four-wheel drive.
Yeah, I can get you around the rest of the area, no problem. We'll just pick a day.
Yeah.
And then Tim, when you take them down to car bodies, we should use that opportunity to go back and flag out that route.
Yep, you know, we were talking about Thursday, not gonna work.
That's fine.
We're gonna install that bridge down between the car bodies and the boat ramp.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how long that's gonna take, so.
And that trail I actually know very well. I borrowed the key from, I don't walk, but I borrowed the key from Tim for our weed control projects on the river, and we drive along there.
That one's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. But yeah, we gotta get together and go make a new loop down by the railroad.
Yeah, the original loop on that south part of the trail was destroyed when they started the railroad bridge, so we just need to plot a route through the trees and reconnect it.
Yeah, and there is a good opening in there. I was in there quite a fair amount last year. I've used the railroad's road. We were doing a project along the river there, and I got questioned by several railroad people who I was and why we were there, but they did essentially let us in there. Didn't do that. So I did see that part of the trail is cut off, and
It won't
I don't
take-
know if we can do anything while the railroad is still working there, because it would have to cross their road.
We'll keep it totally on the rec area side.
Sure.
So, and I don't even know really if we would need to get in through any of that railroad property with equipment. We can bring all that in from probably the road ditch on the north side of Grand Marsh, huh?
No, I think we're gonna have to come in.
From the trailhead. Not a problem. The only thing that really we have had to do in the last few years down at Car Bodies is keep an eye on the parts of the trail where it's close to the riverbank. Was it 2 years ago, Tim, we had to relocate a couple sections that were
Getting close.
getting close to the edge.
Yeah.
Walkers can't swim. Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary to see somebody peeking over a undercut. It's like, you really don't want to be out there right now, because there's nothing under you.
Or there's a business opportunity, you set up a booth, sell life jackets.
Right? Yeah. We need another concessionaire down there. Okay, any more park updates, Tim?
Yeah, just today, I got the approval of our management plans for Grainer Park and Fort Rice. So we're good to go on that. And last thing I got is the revenue. I didn't go back and get Jesse give you the 5-year back outlook. I just put in for what we got so far, because I would say 99% of this revenue is all from reservations of campground, group pads, and shelters. Grainer Park, we got $2,180, and Harmon Lake, we got $1,180. So we're up and running. We're up and running. One last thing before I'm done. The county has declared a fire emergency ban. So absolutely no campfires, none. I believe it's till May 31st.
Yeah, it'll be, revisited at the meeting right prior to that. If we don't get any moisture, we'll continue that burn ban.
Yep. So that's,
See what it looks like.
Are the fire danger signs up in the parks now?
I know the one at Grainer Park is, I'm not sure about the one at Harmon. But yeah, so, you know, if anybody's talking, anybody camping, absolutely no fires.
Are we talking just fires, or does that include the propane?
We can have propane, and I'd have to read it again, but I do not think we allow charcoal. I think propane is the only allowed fuel
Yep.
source.
You could bring in one of those propane
Yep.
fireplaces.
Yep.
Then you have to be 15 feet away from anything flammable too,
Yeah.
with the water on hand.
Yeah. And that's one of the big ifs, you know. So with that being said, that's all I got, unless you guys got some questions, comments, concerns.
Yeah, Tim, I got a question. You know, when we redid that boat dock, we took that park bench out, and it was never put back in. And Saturday I was down there, and I got jumped right away about it.
When we took the boat dock out.
Well, we did down there, we had a park bench long down there years ago. It's quite a few years
Oh,
ago.
where the old courtesy dock was.
Yeah,
Yeah, let me do some research on that.
because we were always gonna put it back in,
Yeah,
and we kinda need to. When people come down, they wanna, you know, sit and watch the sunsets. And
Is the plan to put the courtesy dock in this year, Tim?
yes,
Did Beck turn the Wi-Fi back on?
not yet, not yet. I'm gonna wait till the weekend.
Okay.
Well, I'm shooting for it. I wanted to put it in this week, but the way things lined up, it just, the days I have open, it's windy and Randy, you've been down there when we put it in. We don't want it windy. I'm too old to run.
That's why we hired a much younger park director.
Absolutely. What was it, 2 years ago? And that's a lot of the reason it didn't go in last year. 2 years ago, we're putting it in, and it's getting out to where you need to be, and all of a sudden, that side of the crane dropped about a foot. Yeah, my reflexes are really quick. About the time I thought, oh, we're in trouble, it'd have been too late. So yeah, I'm a little jumpy on it, a little jumpy.
I saw they're tearing up asphalt on the strip. Are they gonna be doing the project on a grainer soon?
I was just
I
asking.
don't know about soon. We do have dibs on the blacktop. We do have that. The county's getting, the way I understand it, all of the grindings.
Oh, nice.
So
'Cause that was my question too.
We do have the stockpile in our name.
Then Tim also, again, because I missed, but the car bodies, boat ramp, is there going to be any formal opening with that?
Yes. Yes.
It's getting nice usage already though. Holy
He's
buckets.
using the phone a friend option.
That's his reality game show.
Let me get back to you on that, Ray.
Okay, well, just shoot an email out to the,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Tim, it's 3 o'clock on May 15th. The ribbon
Yeah.
cutting.
Get somebody that
Yeah.
will know.
3 o'clock, May 15th.
How would you know?
Yeah, just intuition.
Yeah.
He seen he had a call waiting, he thought he might as well fess up.
Yeah. Tim texted you.
I was letting him flounder for a little bit.
So any other questions?
Tim, should I send that invite out to this group? The
If
ribbon
you
cutting?
want, I
Yeah,
can.
I can send it out.
Yeah.
Sent it out to others.
Oh, and before you guys adjourn, just want to let you know. Damn it. 2 months, 14 days, 7 hours, 41 seconds. Just saying.
not that he's counting.
You're
or
not
anything.
gonna count or anything. no.
I'm just curious though if that, what's the weekend after? Let me see here.
County fairs the following weekend. I can't get them to come and help
Yep.
either.
The weekend of July 12th, I got a funny feeling at Danzig Dam, we're gonna have to call the sheriff.
That's up to Cody.
The weekend after he retires.
I'm not gonna say they might call a sheriff, but I can guarantee it ain't gonna be Danzig.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
I guess Glenn will be back Thursday, right? Friday, on our grainers.
Yep,
Camp
hopefully.
Rose.
Thank you guys for setting this camper up, and, I got, Harmon going again, we're saying caretakers are lined up. Ricky, keep forgetting his name. Ricky's, up there this week getting him all set up, and, yeah, we're gonna be open for business. I don't know what's the forecast for the weekend, how
No.
good business is gonna be, but we're open.
Monday's forecast is possible half-inch of rain.
Gosh, that would be nice.
Yep.
We will not chase it away.
Nope. Mr. Chair, motion we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. We will stand adjourned.